guys, it's Tess. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be based around Kylie Skin. A couple of you have asked for me to review this line, and I'm very excited to give my professional opinion on it as an esthetician. But I just want to preface the video and say I won't be trying out her products. I didn't buy them. I won't be testing out the formulas and kind of a first impression style video. I know there's a ton of those videos out there, but my review is going to be a little bit more science-based and based on researching the ingredients. I just want to say it's very difficult to judge a skincare line, especially because a lot of the things people like about a product are based on their user experience and their traits of cosmeceuticals. So this is what these big companies pour their money into. They want to create an emotional response for you. They want it to smell nice, feel nice in your hand, apply nicely, apply nice under makeup. All these things that really aren't for your skin's benefit, they're just for how you feel in the moment. So it's tough to look at a video of somebody's impression and understand how the product will work for you. And I think that's kind of a danger these days. I mean, it's all in good fun, but that's the danger of a blogger recommending or having a sponsored relationship with a skincare product, because somebody looks at that blogger and thinks they have beautiful skin. If I buy the product, my skin will look like that. And it's just not always the case. Everyone's skin needs are super unique, and I think it just gets a little dicey this day and age when people like Kylie are recommending the usage and certain ingredients when at the end of the day, what may work for her probably won't work for you. I think it's also a little misleading when Kylie is probably getting weekly facial treatments, having lasers, having injectables, all these things, which of course, no judgment, it's totally up to her, but I think it's a little bit dangerous when young girls look at somebody like Kylie and think, I will have Kylie skin if I buy her products. So I just want to be upfront. I cannot recommend this line as a professional. I just can't recommend cosmeceuticals. The difference between medical grade and cosmeceuticals is in the quality of the ingredients, the concentration of the actives, and the clinical research dollars that are invested into the line. And professional or medical grade products invest in research and the quality of the ingredients, whereas cosmeceuticals are really investing in, the face. Somebody like Kylie, they are paying for cute packaging, all of that. So it's your call if you want to pay for things like pink packaging and for something to look good on your vanity and to smell nice and feel nice when you apply it. That is your call. I just want to put a little bit more information out there so you can make a better informed choice. I just want to say for my clients, I will always recommend products that have been proven to work, and my job at the end of the day is to recommend things that will give them results. So no, I cannot recommend Kylie's line simply for the fact that it is a cosmeceutical, but I'm going to dive into a few more characteristics, a few of her products, and kind of break them down: her foaming cleanser, her milky toner, her serum, a bunch of little things. So if you guys are interested, just keep on watching. If you like this video, it would mean so much if you gave it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into the video. Okay, I want to start off with a few pros of the line. Kylie, or whoever her research and development team is, formulated the line to be paraben-free, sulfate-free, gluten-free, cruelty-free, and dermatologist tested. So it's great that her products are sulfate-free. That's something I always recommend clients look for, especially in cleansers. Sulfates are an irritant and they can really damage the barrier. So good on her. And I do think that characteristic and a lot of the other things are kind of just mandated in today's climate. People expect those things, and especially a line that's a celebrity line with so many eyeballs on it. I don't really think Kylie had an option, but it's great she did choose to have those components to her line. I will say the term dermatologist tested, I think it's very misleading for consumers. There's really not a lot of enforcement around that term. The dermatologist could be one person, it could be a friend, it could be a relative. We really don't know who this dermatologist is who gave the thumbs up. So it's just kind of a very loose term, and I want to be clear that that doesn't mean that Kylie's product is in dermatologists' offices and it's something they're actively recommending to their clients. Okay, and the next thing I want to clear up on Kylie's end is a lot of people are calling out Kylie for using alcohols in her products and saying that that's a bad thing, alcohols are drying, etc., etc. And I think, again, that is a danger of people who don't have a skin background looking at an ingredient label, which they should be doing, but you need to know there is a difference in the types of alcohols on a label. Something like denatured or SD alcohol is different from the alcohols Kylie uses in her products, which, as far as I've seen looking at the products I've looked at, there are things like cetyl alcohol or stearyl alcohol. These are fatty alcohols which are emollients and can actually be very beneficial to the skin. So just so you know, not all alcohols are bad, and you might see them on the label, but you kind of have to take the time to understand which alcohols are good versus bad. So just want to kind of jump to Kylie's defense there. She did her due diligence in not using drying alcohols in the products. My next con for the line is something I've kind of already mentioned, but it's simply the fact that it is not a professional line. And I want to go into a little bit more depth here because I think this is one of the big things that's very confusing to consumers. And I have a lot of friends and a lot of you guys who DM me all the time asking, is so-and-so line good? What do you think of this? And there's always going to be new lines emerging in the beauty industry. It's a very lucrative industry, but there is a difference between medical grade ingredients versus cosmeceuticals. Kylie's line is a cosmeceutical, and I think people get confused when products are expensive, they are branded as luxury, or they're even, the trickiest is when they are branded as kind of like a clinical line and they have that look kind of like a Peter Thomas Roth. No shade, I'm just saying it is a cosmeceutical, which means the actives tend to be a lower concentration. There's not necessarily clinical research that proves the product is results driven. And yeah, at the end of the day, the quality is just not medical grade. So it's just a little bit tricky if it's not something that is recommended by a spa professional. It's not a professional line. So I think it's important to remember, just because products are expensive doesn't mean they are quality products. Even things like a Drunk Elephant that tend to be very expensive, it just doesn't necessarily mean the quality is there at the end of the day. And I think people just may as well invest in professional lines rather than spend more money on something that has less research behind it. It's just important to remember you are paying for the branding, for the packaging, for it to be pink, for it to be cute, for it to be aesthetic, and obviously that stuff works. People buy it. Kylie's line sold out in, I don't know how fast it sold out, but it's sold out on her site. So good on her, but it's up to you what you want to invest in. If you want to invest in the user experience versus the quality of the product. My next issue with the line, and this is ironically something that came to light with Kendall Jenner, is a celebrity endorsing a product we have no idea if they're using. So Kendall was promoting Proactive for the longest time, saying it's what cured her acne. They tapped her, as the face of the line, and the news comes out later on that she's been seeing a dermatologist for so many years. She's probably been using XYZ professional products, and at the same time she's saying Proactive is what cured my acne. And it's the same thing with Kylie. She's saying, I use my Walnut Scrub 2 to 3 times a week. This is how I get my glowing skin. This is my secret. I can't do my makeup without it. And girls are taking her word for it and thinking that they can achieve the same results. So celebrity endorsements, it's something that's been going on for years and years, and yet we still buy into it. I even have blogger friends that will say to me, oh, I signed this contract, I signed this brand deal to promote this serum, and I actually hate it, but I'm locked into this contract and I'm still gonna post this Instagram. So there's just very little transparency, and people tend to take Instagram and advertisements as reality when it's just not the case. And I have clients all the time ask me, what do you think of this product? My favorite blogger uses it and it works for her. One, you're trusting her opinion and you're being naive to the fact that she's being probably offered a lot of money for it. And two, you are trusting the fact that what may work for her will work for you. And we just know as skincare professionals, that's not the case. Everybody's skin needs are incredibly different. So it's just very dangerous, I think, to trust a non-professional's opinion when it comes to skincare. And I think it's irresponsible of Kylie to make recommendations based on her personal experience, be it true or not. But at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. She signed up to be the face of a brand because it's very lucrative. This is a very lucrative industry, so Kylie created a skincare line, and that at the end of the day is what it is. It's not because she has an expertise in skincare. So I just think it's important to remember that and know that Kylie's getting facial treatments, probably having lasers and the top of the line treatments done, Botox injectables. No judgment at all on her for doing that, but I just think it's important for girls to understand she doesn't achieve these results from using a walnut scrub 2 to 3 times a week. Okay, the next thing I want to dive into is fragrance. Fragrance is something I never recommend my clients have in their skincare products, and that is because it is an irritant, and I know some people think they're more tolerant to it and they feel like they're not sensitive and they enjoy the fragrance, so they don't mind having it in their skincare products. I especially don't recommend having it in leave-in products. I know companies are putting it in makeup. There's like peach scented blush and whatnot and all these things. I am seeing more sensitivities than ever with my clients. I'm seeing things like candida and just rashes, and it's very difficult as an esthetician to pinpoint where the sensitivity is coming from, and sometimes it is cumulative, sometimes it's deodorant, detergent, could be detergent and toothpaste and makeup and shampoo and fragrance in your skincare products, or pollution or something on an airplane. It's very difficult to pinpoint, so I would just recommend taking out what you don't need, and clearly that is perfume in your leave-in products. Something like a toner, it should not be in there. It's not in there for your benefit. The vanilla scent in her milky toner, it's there to create a luxury experience for you, so you have an emotional attachment to it, so you have a little morning ritual with your toner that you become addicted to. It is not for the benefit of your skin, so I would recommend staying away from fragrance altogether. And I think it's interesting, fragrance is included in some of Kylie's products and not others, and she goes as far to point certain things out as fragrance-free, which is another term that's kind of a loose term. You can label something fragrance-free, but it may have orange peel oil or certain things like that, which she does have in her products, that may be a potential irritant to the skin. So just the fact that there are perfumes in her ingredient deck, I would stay away from completely. next thing I want to highlight is Kylie's emphasis on active ingredients. And this is just something that cosmeceuticals do all the time, and I think it deserves a little bit of a highlight. Products will really market the vitamin C or hyaluronic acid in the product, and this happens even at the drugstore, happens at Sephora, and these companies can actually legally market an ingredient on the front package and literally have 0% of that ingredient in the ingredient deck in the actual product itself. I think a lot of people don't know that. When I learned that in school, I was kind of mind blown. I was like, what? How can they do this? They can, and they do it to make money, and it's just important to remember what is on the label may not reflect any concentration of that ingredient in the product, so you have to do your due diligence. You have to look at labels. You have to see where the ingredient falls on the list. If it falls towards the end, there's probably little to none of it in there, and Kylie is guilty of doing this a lot in her products. For example, her cleanser, she describes it as, our luxurious foaming face wash is infused with ultra nourishing kiwi seed oil packed with vitamin C and E to help maintain moisture and improve elasticity. She goes on and on about the hyaluronic acid in her product, and if you pay attention, you'll notice she really is talking up the ingredient itself, but she's not speaking to the concentration of the ingredient. And when you say things like it's packed with this and this, there's no legal demand. It's a very, vague term. And so you have to, again, do your due diligence and see what concentration of that ingredient is in the product. So if you're looking at her cleanser, kiwi seed oil, which she's talking about so much, and the hyaluronic acid, which is sodium hyaluronate, those are the third and second to last ingredients on the list. Also, these are cleansers. It's a product you are washing off, so the best way to use something like a hyaluronic acid is in a leave-on product, in a serum, where you're getting the most concentration of it. Having it in a face wash, it's just not doing much for you, and these ingredients are dead last on the ingredient list. So I just think it is a little bit misleading, and people who don't have a background in skincare are not going to know this by watching her videos. Okay, the next little technical thing I want to emphasize is the amount of synthetics in Kylie's products. And I know she really loves to hit on the natural elements of her products, like jojoba oil or kiwi seed, whatever she's using, but it's, again, those natural ingredients fall towards the end of the list. If you look at the bulk of the ingredient deck, it usually starts out with a majority of synthetics. And it's just something I want to point out because I feel there's kind of an unfair emphasis on the natural versus the synthetics in her products, and she uses a lot of texture enhancers, emulsifiers, silicone derivatives. These are not necessarily harmful. Some of them are debatably, and it kind of depends on where you stand on the clean skincare theme, I guess. So just remember, these silicone derivatives, these emulsifiers, all these things are texture enhancers, and they are characteristics of cosmeceuticals. Sometimes these things aren't necessary. Sometimes we need preservatives. Sometimes we need binders to keep a product together. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Otherwise, it would expire immediately upon being exposed to air. So sometimes we need these things, but a lot of these things included are for the benefit of how the product applies. So it's just another thing to remember. These ingredients may be potentially unnecessary, and they're in there so you have a good experience holding the product in your hand. So I just think it's important to point out there's a lot of debate on the concept of toxicity in skincare. And I'll just say this briefly. Toxic is defined as something that causes harm or death. So it gets tricky, and there's controversy about whether certain ingredients actually reach the bloodstream. So it kind of depends on your opinion on the matter. There's not enough evidence to, really indicate a silicone is going to result in death 30 years down the line. It's kind of a tricky thing, and I feel like sometimes brands really market the concept of being clean skincare as a scare tactic, but at the end of the day, do you want all these potentially harmful things in your skincare? I don't, so I tend to choose clean product. But I just think there's kind of an element of misinformation out there when Kylie is placing all the emphasis on her natural ingredients and completely ignoring the bulk, the biggest concentration of the ingredients in her products. Okay, the next element of the line I want to point out is the fact that it's a one-size-fits-all brand. She has one cleanser, she has one toner, one moisturizer, one serum, one eye cream, so it's intended to fit one skin type, which just doesn't exist, and she's marketing this to a wide demographic. My concern is especially with teens and people who are probably her closest demographic, there can be a lot of issues with skincare. And at that age, I think it's very important for things to be simple and tailored towards your specific need. So if somebody who is acne prone is buying her moisturizer, which may not be oil free, that's not to their benefit. So as an esthetician, my mission is always to customize the routine to your exact skin need. That is the point of a treatment. You can never treat two people the same way in a skincare treatment because they have different needs. And some people would benefit more from a glycolic serum than a vitamin C serum, but she just has one. So I would kind of think that the line is intended to be pretty basic, pretty simple. Vitamin C is a pretty safe ingredient if you are, the ingredient is actually very unstable, but it is a safe anti-aging ingredient most people can benefit from. So I see the logic there. Maybe she'll expand on the line, but I think it's just really dicey to recommend a skincare line with so few options to such a large demographic. Something else I think is kind of interesting is that I would think with a one-size-fits-all skincare line, at least one benefit would be that it would be super gentle and non-irritating. But Kylie uses harsh scrubs, she uses perfume in her products, and it was just interesting to watch Jeffree and Shane's video and watch Shane like literally have an immediate reaction to her products. So as a line that's intended to be kind of universal, I think just the fact that it has obvious irritants and stimulants, given Shane was literally like eating the cleanser and using way too much, but I don't know, it just seems like it could be a little potentially irritating, so just putting that out there. Okay, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, the walnut scrub that everybody is calling Kylie out for and kind of dragging her for. I'm just honestly very surprised that nobody from her team had the foresight to know St. Ives has had a notorious reputation as it comes to light as a really bad product that skincare professionals say, like, this is the one thing you should not use because the walnut shell particles are very abrasive. And Kylie, in her little promotional video, she kind of calls this out and she says, I know there's other walnut scrubs on the market that can be abrasive. Mine is a lot more gentle. And the fact is that walnut shell is just classified as an abrasive scrub. There's no way to finely mill the particles enough where the edges are not jagged, and that's something that's very important if you are going to use a physical exfoliant or a scrub. You want the particles to be even, you want them to be round, hopefully biodegradable, but they definitely need to be round because they can cause the lacerations, the fissures, the micro tears in the skin, and it's not something that is immediately obvious. It's funny, I was watching Lauren Elizabeth's video. She was saying, I know everyone's calling out the Walnut Scrub, but I love it. And that's because as Americans, we tend to love exfoliation. There's an epidemic of over-exfoliation. I think it started in the 90s, but people love that instant gratification, having smooth, glowing skin. And you won't see little cuts on your face immediately after use, but over time it is going to thicken the skin, age the skin, make the barrier compromised and more susceptible to irritants and stimulants. So it's not a good game plan. It's one thing I'd really recommend staying away from, even though we like the instant gratification. And I think that's probably why it was chosen, because Kylie wanted to give people a feeling of feeling really exfoliated. And I think she was going for, you know, a natural vibe, and walnut sounds very natural. And it is natural, but it's also very abrasive and too irritating for the skin. Okay, I wanted to get into the vitamin C, and Kylie uses tetrahexyl dexyl ascorbate. It's not a bad ingredient. It's actually the fat-soluble vitamin C that is readily absorbed by the skin. The problem is just vitamin C's are very tough. It's a very tough, unstable ingredient. And Kylie actually formulated the product with a lot of buffer. She uses safflower oil and different oils to keep the vitamin C stable. I just think it's such an unpredictable ingredient. I would never trust a cosmeceutical brand with my vitamin C. I'd always want it to be professional grade and proven to brighten the skin, produce collagen, all these things. I don't know how much research and development is behind Kylie's vitamin C. It is great that that vitamin C form is in the second. It's the second ingredient on the list, but it's just hard to speak to the quality of the ingredient. The product is, I believe, $28, and a serum tends to be the more expensive product in the line. I think she was trying to keep everything under $30, so maybe the price of the cleanser was raised to kind of even out the cost of the serum. I don't know, but I think it's unusual for a serum to be at that price point. I think you tend to get what you pay for in skincare, especially with serums. It's the one thing I would recommend investing more money into. So it's hard to judge the quality, and I know there's things like The Ordinary that has a similar price point vitamin C, but I would, again, just always choose professional grade, especially with something like vitamin C. It's a very unstable, kind of dicey ingredient. It's just notorious for degrading before it's even in your hands, and it's great. Kylie used an opaque bottle. You always want it in a dark or an opaque bottle, but it's just very hard to judge the quality of the ingredient. Okay guys, I am going to conclude my video here. If it wasn't clear from my points, I think my negatives on the line clearly outweigh the positives, and I just definitely cannot recommend a cosmeceutical to my clients or to you guys. I'll only recommend professional grade. So hopefully this video just brings some of these things to light, and when you see a celebrity as the face of the brand, I just want you guys to be mindful of the fact that they're probably creating the line to make money. And I'm not trying to drag Kylie. I love pop culture. I worked at E! I think it's always respectable on some level when somebody is a 21-year-old female entrepreneur. Kylie knows how to make her money, so good for her. Her products sold out in minutes. Do I think a celebrity or somebody without a skincare expertise should be recommending and making skincare? I don't think so. I know it upsets a lot of estheticians. Personally, like, I get a little jealous when I see people who don't have any kind of skincare background just creating a line. So I can see how it's a little bit upsetting. And at the end of the day, I just would always choose a professional grade product that has research dollars behind it and a certain quality and concentration of ingredients over cosmeceuticals. I would also look for a cleaner line. I would look for something without fragrance, without so many synthetics, and I would look for something that is plant-based. So that's really what I look for in skincare. And considering the price point, I mean, I know it's under $30, everything is, so it's somewhat affordable, but I just think when you are comparing apples to apples, a professional grade cleanser versus Kylie's, I think you are way better off choosing professional grade. So it really just depends what you want to pay for, but that is my overview of the line. If you guys have any questions about what I do recommend as far as professional grade products, leave a comment below, or you guys can also always DM me. I'll put my esthetician handle right here. Make sure to follow. I post a lot of tips about skincare, you know, kind of behind the scenes of my life as an esthetician, and a lot of health and wellness stuff. So maybe that will bring you guys value. It'd be fun if you followed along. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.